welcome back to another episode of the Hardcore Casual with your boy Base the Kid. As always, please like and subscribe, share with a friend, a colleague, a relative, an associate, an enemy, any and all in between. It is appreciated. Now look, this is actually going to be a short episode. There has been quite a bit to talk about this week, but I don't have enough time to get into every single thing that has happened that I have missed. Obviously, you guys know I've been out at a couple of shows, couple of events. There's been a lot more bass talks than usual and had to get bass's picks out a day earlier. So because of that, I just wasn't able to keep the episodes up. But with that being said, I'm gonna do one now. Potentially, there could be one after weekend wrap tomorrow. So we'll wait and see. But I've got a lot to do today. Two things that had to be spoken about. So without further ado, let's get into it. Actually, I said two things, but one other thing really quick. So a little earlier this week, the EBU ordered Adam Azim to face Dalton Smith for the title. If you remember, Adam Azim won the title from Frank Petitjean at the back end of last year. He recently just defended it last week against Enoch Paulson, who was the former champion who'd never lost it in the ring. Obviously, he won that fight via stoppage due to injury, and that was, I guess, ultimately his voluntary. And now, because of that, they've put the mandate out, and he basically has to deal with that fight. Adam Azim didn't seem very happy about this news on Twitter X and started basically accusing Eddie Hearn of having an agenda against him and basically saying, oh, well, you know, you shouldn't be worried about this fight and worrying about me. You should be worrying about the Jose Cepeda fight on the 23rd of April. And ultimately, you then had, I think it's the 23rd of April. It's one of them dates anyway. It might be the 23rd of March. Who knows? Then you had, basically, you got Dalton Smith come back and say, well, yeah, no, don't worry about that. I'm fully focused on my fight, but don't act like this fight won't happen. And they both, and he said, look, you enjoy Ramadan, I'm gonna deal with my situation, and then we'll circle back to this. So both guys have agreed to not push for those purse bids now. I think they were supposed to take place on the 18th of February. So I think that they've both said to the EBU, no, we need you to move this a couple, maybe a month or two down the line. So I'm assuming those purse bids will now look to take place around about the end of March, maybe the middle of April, end of April, somewhere around there. But as they've both instructed the EBU that they want a continuance from the actual date, that looks like there's a bit more good news, and at least that way it's now not looking like we're going to get the what we might call out the pull-out scenario. But yeah, interesting enough. Interesting that, you know, Eddie Hearn tweets, yep, looks like it's a great fight. Definitely one that we want to see, and you know, sort of the boxer side is looking a bit ropey. Let's see if this one manifests itself. I mean, we had, you know, the Caroline Dubois, the Rhiannon Dixon and the Beatrice Ferreira thing. There was a lot of that interspliced into this. So I think more people are more interested in what happens between boxer and matchroom in purse bid situations, or you know, than anything else in mandatory positions. But yeah, wait and see for that. But yeah, a little quick one on that, just to say I did see it, and I do have a bit of an interest in what happens with that moving forward. And Eddie Hearn has just revealed that he has made a 10-figure offer with an upside to Gervonta Davis to take a Conor Benn fight. Initially, he said he wanted to do that around about April, May time. Although I now have a feeling if that fight does take place, it might actually be a bit later than that. And I'll tell you guys why shortly. But look, personally, it's a good PR move. You know, it's about putting pressure on another organization, on another fighter. Say, look, well, we've made you the offer. If you know you were talking all that smack on Twitter X, like, do you really want the smoke? You claim you want the smoke. Do you really want it? here's a credible offer. If you bear in mind though, I think Eddie Hearn also put out like, you know, it was a 9 or a 10 figure offer for Davis when he was promoting Tevin Farmer, and those fights never materialized. I know there was a 7 figure offer for Jamal Charlo to face Demetrius Andrade, and that wasn't taken. So look, when it comes to people that have affiliations with the PBC, you can never really know what they're going to do. However, these are very different times for the PBC than there was back in the day. So out of all of that, if the fight happens, I will give takes on it. However, I felt it was worthy enough to talk about just for the video, just for that particular moment. I don't expect anything to come of it, but if it does, yeah, you've got one guy, I guess, who's clearly levels above the other, but then you've got the other guy who is much bigger and, you know, does power travel as high as 147 for Tank Davis. Does he have speed? Does he even have stamina at that you know, that weight? Very interesting. Yeah, but we'll see. I'm not going to spend too much time on that, but yeah, 10 figure, I mean 8 figure offer, so that's what, 10 million and above plus an upside. I mean, sounds pretty decent to me. And in terms of what your other options are at the PBC at the moment, I don't think you can generate the kind of money you could generate with a cross seas promotion with any of them at this point in time. Thinking off the top of my head, there's not really anyone that over there where you could generate a 10 mil guarantee plus upside that does decent numbers. But hey, I mean, who am I? I don't crunch the numbers like that, so wait and see. But yeah, that's that. As you guys could see from the thumbnail, I couldn't bother to do up my own graphics, so yeah, I stole another one. I'm quite happy to admit that nothing to do with me, but that being said, it's now been official. It was announced yesterday, it was signed. Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia for the WBC super lightweight or junior welterweight title. What's very interesting on there, if you guys remember a previous video I'd done, I said that after the situation that happened with Rolly Romero with Ryan Garcia, you know, the whole Floyd Mayweather thing, now having to come back to the negotiations with Devin Haney, I guaranteed that it's gonna be Haney Garcia, because his biggest thing before was it should be Garcia Haney, because I'm the guy that brings in the pay-per-views, I'm the guy with the money, and you know, your last pay-per-view did 30,000 and blah blah blah. There was all of that, but now on the poster it is Haney versus Garcia. It also looks like this promotion is going to be helmed by Golden Boy as opposed to Matchroom. I mean, it might technically be a co-promotion. Matchroom are involved because it looks like they are representing Devin Haney within the promotion, and no doubt because it's the zone in general, I'm sure that if they want some of their fighters on the card, they'll get them on the card. But it looks as much from what I can see that it's going to be a Golden Boy Promotions as the lead promoter. So we can get some of the good, you know, Mexican talent that they've got. If he's available, I would actually love to see Floyd Schofield on the undercard for this card. And funny enough, the other day they was talking about we was talking about Matchroom versus Queensbury. We know we're getting that on the 1st of June, but someone posed to Oscar De La Hoya in comments about, you know, would you do Matchroom versus Golden Boy? And then Oscar basically said, oh yeah, I don't think they've got anyone on our level. I don't think they've got it, you know, talent for us, but you know, it's not something that I can see them wanting to do. Well, now we've got a cross promotion here, because Devin is being promoted by DHP and Matchroom. You've got Ryan being promoted by Oscar. Why not throw a couple people together? I'm gonna be seeing Eddie Hearn a little later on today, and I think Frank Smith. I might be, if I can get the chance, I think I'm gonna ask them, is it possible that we can get some cross promotional bouts on that card? That would be very interesting. Although one thing I think I know about Oscar De La Hoya, similar to Bob Arum in a sense, they very rarely will allow their fighters that they have interest in or any prospecting of fighting other promotions fighters unless they are 80% sure that their fighter is gonna win. Now a lot of the time their fighter is 80% sure because they are normally the better fighter, but there might be some differences on this one. It'll be interesting. How many of Matchroom's US stable would they want to risk on the Golden Boy Promotions card based on the same platform? So even if they lose, they're still on the same platform when they come back. Is it more about bragging rights? Is it more about maybe their commercial viability as to what happens there? But then they've also got the Queensbury thing, so do they not want to maybe run the risk of doing both? I'm not sure. I personally think it's a great moment, and I will be putting it to Eddie Hearn. Even if I can't do it on camera, if I grab him, I'll speak to him, and then I'll just report back on Weekend Wrap what is basically said with regards to that. But yeah, I just thought it was funny that Ryan was so adamant that this should be Garcia versus Haney, and that Haney missed the boat, missed his opportunity, moving on to bigger and better things, to then have to circle back with your tail between your legs, and now you are firmly the B-side in this, even though the majority of the fans and the majority of the pay-per-views likely are going to come from your side. Maybe maybe it just might be B-side on paper but A-side in actuality because it is your promoter. Who knows? But all of that just seems amusing to me. That being said, it's the fight itself. It's a big money fight. It's similar. It's not the same level as when I said last year that Garcia and Tank was essentially just a glorified influencer fight. This one it's not quite that, but I also have no illusions that it's the best fight in the best. It's not that fight either. It's literally, this fight is more of a I feel a coming out party for Devin Haney. Like, obviously he had the Vasil Lomachenko battle, they had the Kambosos thing, so he's got the audience in Australia that now know his face. He had the Lomachenko thing, the big controversy, eyes on you, what do you do next? Had the standout performance against Regis Prograis, which was excellent last year December, and now this is almost like with Ryan Garcia being the big influencer, almost boxer with the high profile, loads and the millions and millions of followers. Devin Haney's stock on the rise again. This just feels like the coming out party for Devin Haney, and the question then becomes more so after this fight, if he wins, how does he parlay that? Does he stay and try to sweep up extra belts at 140? Does he decide that he wants to move up to 147 and collect a couple of vacant belts up there? Because I'm sure the rest of those are going to start fragmenting soon, and with him being the WBC champ downstairs, he can always petition to fight for a vacant WBC title at 147. I want to see him in the big fights, and to be fair, I want to see Ryan Garcia in the big fights, but I want to see him taking those necessary steps as well. At this point, he had he jumped and ran into the Tank fight after sort of ducking the Linares and other fights that he was supposed to be taking back in the day, and he decided to jump up 2 or 3 levels above where he was. I know I said I had predicted him initially, but you guys, you've seen the videos, you know why I predicted for him to win that fight against Tank Davis. He's come back down. He's had the Oscar Duarte fight, which was a very good, credible opponent, but it was also an opponent that's naturally smaller, and he didn't really look great in that fight up until the stoppage came. Now he's sort of jumping into the fire again, so he might just be trying to make the money play. So if that's the case and you just want to take the biggest fights possible for you for the most money, cool. If you actually want to cement your career, then I think you need to start rebuilding properly with good quality level opponents that you can still sell a market if you want to become like this pay-per-view star moving forward and you want to consistently stay on pay-per-view. Devin Haney wins this fight. I've got almost no doubt in my mind that he's gonna try to parlay that into a pay-per-view exclusive fighter. He still won't be that, as such, I still feel like you should only be putting your fights on pay-per-view against the biggest and best. But if maneuvering has to happen for him to be able to fight guys that people legitimately think can beat him, which adds to intrigue, then that's what he's going to do. But yeah, I want to see him again. I want to see him basically after this fight. I would love for Devin Haney to go and fight Teofimo Lopez and get a unification there. I'd love him to do the Subriel Matias. I'd love him, if he wants to even switch over to PBC and try and grab a belt off of Rolly Romero or Isaac Cruz or Ishmael Barroso when he eventually takes the belt from those two. That's what I would like to see. But I know whatever moves he's going to make is going to be for him. And at the moment, because he's done, you know, stylistically, he's always had an advantage over a lot of his opponents. I will say that. But he's also been in there with opponents that have done things that are not nice for him, things that he used to struggle with, and he's managed to overcome those things. Can he do that with guys that are naturally bigger or at least of the same size? Who knows? I'd like to see all of that. But because he's taken so many of the tests, especially earlier, I can't be as critical with him, with what he wants to do moving forward, than I can be with some other people. So that's kind of how I'm going to see that one. But yeah, leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think about the situation. Maybe who you've got winning. Obviously, you guys will find out how my thing plays out when it goes to basis picks closer to the time. What I will say is I think this fight will be a much more of an better even contest than some people are predicting. That's what I will say. And there could be some surprises. But with that being said, yeah, leave your comments down below. I'll catch up with you guys later on. Like, subscribe and share, and thanks for watching. So until the next time, it's the Hardcore Casual out.